Do you believe some hearts are destined to wander until they finally find home? I whispered, my voice lost in the chaos of Lago's midday streets. Horns blared, street vendors shouted over the din, and the heat radiated off the asphalt like a living thing. Yet all of it faded away when I saw him, a stranger who didn't feel like one. His eyes, dark and knowing, held a quiet storm that mirrored my own. I'm Amara and I had long stopped believing in love. After the heartbreak that Ethan left behind, his lies, his betrayal, I swore I'd never let anyone hold my heart again. But there was something about Taye that unsettled me, made me question every rule I had built around my feelings. Earlier that morning, my grandmother, Mama F, had called. Her voice, deep and resonant with wisdom, reminded me of the stories she had told me as a child. Amara, she said, the heart knows its home. It may wander through storms and shadows, but it always returns where it belongs. I had smiled politely, thinking it sentimental, but now, standing amidst the vibrant city, her words reverberated with startling clarity. Taye stood by a corner of the open-air market, a basket of fresh oranges in his hands. The sun hit him just right, and for a fleeting moment, he looked like a figure from one of Mama F's folktales, someone sent by destiny to challenge the heart, to test patience and courage. His lips curved in a smile, small and deliberate, as though he recognized something in me that I hadn't yet seen. Amara, he said, his voice carrying across the market noise. I was hoping I'd find you here. My heartbeat quickened. You know me? I asked, suspicion mingled with curiosity. He tilted his head slightly. More than you think. But sometimes we must walk past illusions before we see the truth. I froze, the words echoing like a riddle. The market seemed to pause around us, children, running with colorful kites, women bargaining over yams and spices. The smell of grilled suya thick in the air, but I was caught in a moment that felt both real and unreal. A memory flickered in my mind. A childhood afternoon when Mama F told me the story of two wandering hearts, separated by circumstance, only to meet again when both had grown wiser, braver, and ready to trust again. At the time it seemed magical, impossible. But now, with Taye standing there, I couldn't help but wonder, was this a story repeating itself in real life? The market noise returned, harsh and bright, but I couldn't look away. My heart, scarred and cautious, stirred in a way it hadn't in years. Taye's eyes held questions I wasn't ready to answer, yet somehow the weight of familiarity pressed against my chest. Could the heart really find home again? Could someone who had wandered through storms of betrayal, loneliness, and fear finally rest in the arms of the right person? And in that instant, I knew my life was about to change forever. The city was alive with noise-honking cars, street hawkers calling out prices, and the distant hum of music from a nearby party. Yet somehow, amidst the chaos, I felt a strange stillness, as though the universe had paused to watch us. Taye and I walked through the crowded streets, side by side, yet worlds apart. His calm demeanor unnerved me, but it also stirred a strange curiosity. Why are you here? I finally asked, my voice low, trying to mask the nervous flutter in my chest. He glanced at me, eyes unreadable. Because you've been looking for something even if you don't know it yet. And what would that be? He smiled, just slightly, the kind of smile that promised answers and withheld them at the same time. Home. I stopped walking, unsure whether he was joking. Home, yes, he said. The kind of home the heart recognizes. Not the one built of bricks and walls, but of trust, understanding, and courage. I wanted to scoff, but the word struck a chord. For years, I had wandered through relationships and friendships, trying to find comfort, only to be met with betrayal and disappointment. My heart had learned to be cautious, and yet something about Taye's words pulled at the frayed edges of my hope. We entered a quiet cafe tucked between a row of colorful shops. The scent of roasted coffee beans and warm bread wrapped around us like a cocoon. Sitting across from me was Taye, his presence grounding in a way I hadn't expected. He didn't speak immediately, letting me digest the energy between us. Then, he leaned forward slightly. There are things you need to know about me, about us. but they must be earned, not forced. Before I could respond, a cheerful voice broke the tension. Amara, there you are. It was in Josie, my best friend. Her laughter filled the small cafe, but I could see the curiosity in her eyes as she took in Taye. And who's this? This is Taye, I said cautiously, unsure how much to reveal. And Josie's gaze sharpened, subtle suspicion creeping into her smile. He looks like trouble, she joked, but her eyes betrayed concern. Are you sure about this? I bit my lip, remembering Mama F's words and the folktales she had told me. Love was never simple. It was a journey filled with trials, tests, and moments that demanded courage. And here I was standing on the edge of one such trial as Taye spoke to Josie with polite charm. I noticed a man lingering outside the cafe, watching intently. His presence was quiet but deliberate. Something about him made my heart tighten, not with fear, but with recognition that there were forces at play. I couldn't yet understand Obina, Taye's cousin. I had heard of him from T, but this was the first time I had seen him in person. His smile was polite, but there was something calculating in his eyes. My instinct screamed, "Be careful. Not all who greet you with warmth carry goodwill." I realized then, love was not simply about finding the right heart. It was about navigating a world of secrets, challenges, and unexpected betrayals. And if my heart was to find home, I would have to tread carefully, trusting neither fully, yet observing everything. The city pulsed outside, a reflection of my own tumultuous thoughts. Something told me that the path ahead would be filled with heartbreak, revelations, and choices that could alter everything. And yet, for the first time in years, I felt a glimmer of hope. The next few days were a whirlwind. Lagos had its usual rhythm, cars honking, street vendors shouting, the scent of grilled suya and fresh fruit lingering in the air but beneath the noise. My mind raced, tangled in questions about Taye and his intentions. Every interaction felt loaded with meaning, every glance pregnant with possibility. And yet, there was an undercurrent I couldn't ignore, a subtle tension that seemed to follow him everywhere. I met Taye at the rooftop of his office building that evening. The city stretched below us like a sea of lights, the hum of life distant and muffled from up here. I watched him carefully, trying to read the quiet strength in his posture, the way he observed everything without saying much. "You seem cautious," he said, breaking the silence. I shrugged, trying to appear nonchalant. "I've learned to be... Life has a funny way of teaching you not to trust too easily." He nodded slowly, eyes reflecting the glow of the city lights. And yet, here we are. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A message from Josie. "Amara Obina was asking about you again. He's been around your workplace. Be careful." My stomach tightened. Obina's presence had been unsettling from the start, but I had dismissed it, thinking him harmless. Now, the sense of unease deepened. I glanced at Taye, noticing the subtle flicker in his eyes when I mentioned Obina. Was it concern or something more? A flashback hit me. My first heartbreak, the night Ethan had betrayed my trust. I remembered the feeling of being blindsided, the helplessness, the bitterness that had lingered for years. I realized that my instincts were sharper now, alert to deception, wary of hidden agendas. Suddenly, a shadow moved near the rooftop entrance. Obina appeared, his smile calm, but his eyes sharp, calculating. "Amara," he said, voice smooth, almost too casual. "I didn't expect to find you here." I tensed, and Taye stepped subtly between us. "Obina," he said evenly, "what brings you up here?" Obina's eyes flicked to Taye, then back to me. "Just checking in," he said, but there was an edge in his tone, a subtle challenge that made the air feel heavy. As Obina left, Taye turned to me. "You see, the world is full of people who test your patience and loyalty, but some tests reveal truths about yourself you didn't know existed." His words echoed in my mind long after we descended from the rooftop. Trust wasn't just about believing in someone else. It was about knowing yourself, your limits, and your courage. That night, I lay in bed, thinking of Mama F's words, "A wandering heart only finds home when it learns to recognize the trials that lead it there." Pieces were slowly falling into place. Taye was patient, kind and steady, but there were forces, hidden and deliberate, working to derail what could be. The city outside hummed with life, unaware of the tension brewing in our small corner of it. And I realized that finding love wasn't enough. I had to survive the trials, navigate the betrayals, and keep my heart open, even when shadows threatened to close in. Tomorrow, I promised myself, would be another day of observation, strategy, and cautious steps toward what I could only hope was home. The following week felt like a storm contained in the city's streets. Lagos' vibrant energy, the honking cars, the neon lights, and the aroma of roasted suey felt muted to me, like a backdrop to the turmoil inside my chest. Every time I saw Taye, a mixture of hope and doubt collided in me, leaving my heart off balance. It began with a message from Ngozi. Amara, I overheard Obina talking to someone. He mentioned you and Taye. You need to be careful. My stomach tightened as I read the text. Was this paranoia? Or was there a real threat lurking in the shadows of our lives? That evening, I met Taye at the botanical garden, tucked away behind a busy street. The smell of wet earth and blooming hibiscus clung to the air as we walked along the winding paths. You've been distant, he said softly. I can feel it. I stopped, struggling to mask my emotions. It's nothing. The past has a way of haunting the present, I admitted. He reached out and took my hand, warmth spreading through my fingers. Amara, I would never hurt you. You have to believe me. And yet belief was hard. A shadow loomed in my mind. Obina's sly glances. Whispered conversations I had overheard, and Taye's occasional evasive answers. My heart was a battlefield, trust and fear clashing violently with each step. That night, as I returned home, I caught a glimpse of T speaking hurriedly to Obina on the street below my apartment. Their expressions were serious, almost urgent. My pulse surged. Was Taye hiding something from me? Was he part of the plan I had feared? Betrayal burned hot in my veins, and my mind spun with worst-case scenarios. I remembered Mama F's words. The heart's journey is never straight. Only patience and courage reveal the truth hidden in the shadows. But patience felt impossible when fear clouded my thoughts, and doubt threatened to take hold. The next day at work, I found a folded note slipped under my office door. My hands trembled as I opened it. The words inside were ambiguous, just enough to make my heart sink. Not everything is as it seems. Trust carefully. The handwriting was unfamiliar, but the warning was unmistakable. Someone was testing me. Someone was trying to push me into fear. I realized then that love was not just about finding someone who cares. It was about navigating a maze of hidden motives, misunderstandings, and shadows. And Taye, I wanted to trust him with everything, but my past heartbreak whispered in my ear, "Don't be fooled again." By nightfall, I stood at my balcony, looking over the city. The lights shimmered like stars fallen into the concrete jungle. My heart pounded, but a quiet determination settled over me. I would not let fear dictate my choices. I would observe, question, and wait for the truth to reveal itself. Tomorrow. I promised myself I would confront what I didn't yet understand. And whether love endured or shattered, I would face it with courage. The morning sun spilled over Lagos, painting the city in golden light. But inside me, shadows still lingered. My mind replayed the previous nights, the cryptic note, the whispers, Taye's evasive moments. I had questioned everything, his intentions, his loyalty, even my own judgment, and yet something urged me not to act rashly. Mama F's words echoed, "Patience reveals what haste cannot." I arranged to meet Taye at the old market square where we had first crossed paths. The air was rich with the smell of roasted peanuts and fresh fruit, the sound of children's laughter mingling with the chatter of vendors. My heart thudded against my chest as I approached, eyes scanning for any sign of deceit. Taye was already there, leaning casually against a stall, his expression calm but earnest. "Amara," he greeted softly, "you look troubled." I hesitated, then let my voice carry the weight of my doubts. "I saw you with Obina. At my apartment, and then there's the note, the whispers." I don't know what to think." His eyes softened, but his hands trembled slightly as he reached for mine. "I expected this," he said quietly. "I should have told you sooner, but everything I did to protect you." I frowned, confused. "Protect me?" He nodded. "Obina has been trying to manipulate circumstances to make us doubt each other. He's jealous, and he wants to control things that aren't his to control. The note, the whisper sit, was all meant to make you think I was untrustworthy." A rush of conflicting emotions surged through me: relief, anger, disbelief. My heart raced as I tried to reconcile the fear I had felt with the truth before me. "You mean, all this time, you were honest?" I asked, voice barely a whisper. He smiled, a mixture of warmth and regret. "I never wanted to hide anything, but I knew revealing everything too soon might have put you in danger, or made you run." Tears pricked at the corners of my eyes as the weight of uncertainty lifted. The city around us, the markets, the vendors, the children playing seemed suddenly brighter, more vivid, as though Lagos itself was acknowledging the truth. We sat on a nearby bench, letting the bustling square fade into the background. "I wanted to trust you from the beginning," I admitted, "but my heart, it's been broken before." Taye took my hands, steadying them. "And yet, here you are, choosing to see clearly, to feel again. That courage, that's what allows love to find its home." A soft breeze carried the scent of flowers and roasted corn, and I realized that Mama F's folktale had been unfolding in real life. The wandering hearts, the trials, the tests of patience and courage, it had all led to this moment. For the first time in years, my heart felt settled, safe in a way I hadn't thought possible. Love wasn't just about romance or desire. It was about trust, resilience, and the willingness to face fear together. And as Taye leaned closer, a quiet understanding passed between us. Our hearts had finally begun to find home. The sun had begun to set over Lagos, painting the sky in streaks of gold and crimson. The city's chaos softened in the evening light, as if holding its breath in anticipation. I walked alongside Taye toward the waterfront, the gentle waves of the lagoon reflecting the fiery sunset. My heart was still beating fast, but the fear and doubt that had shadowed me for weeks felt lighter now. "You've changed since we met," Taye said, his voice quiet but steady. "Not because of me, but because you've chosen to trust your heart again." I smiled faintly, the weight of past betrayals still present but no longer suffocating. "It hasn't been easy," I admitted. "Every step felt like walking a tightrope, but somehow I feel complete." Taye stopped and turned to face me. "Amara, there's something I've been keeping from you, not to deceive, but to protect." My stomach clenched. Another secret? Another shadow? I braced myself. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, intricately carved wooden pendanta, symbol of the old folk tales my grandmother used to tell me. "This belonged to my grandmother," he explained. "She said it would guide me to the one my heart was meant to find. When I saw you, I knew it was yours to hold." I touched the pendant gently, the smooth wood warm in my hands. Memories of Mama F's stories, the wandering hearts, the trials, the patient waiting flooded back. The pendant wasn't just an object. It was a symbol of destiny, resilience, and the power of believing in love again. Just then, Obina appeared in the distance, but his expression had changed. Gone was the calculating glare, replaced with something quieter, almost respectful. He nodded subtly before walking away, as if acknowledging that the test had been passed. The obstacle had been faced, and the heart had prevailed. I turned to Taye, feeling the warmth of his hands wrap around mine. "So, we've finally found home?" I whispered. He smiled, eyes reflecting both the sunset and an unspoken promise. "Yes, Amara. Our hearts have finally found home, not because life is perfect, but because we faced it together as we watched the city lights begin to flicker on. I realized that love isn't about avoiding pain or betrayal. It's about courage, patience, and the willingness to trust again, even when the world has tried to break you." The journey had been tumultuous, filled with misunderstandings, tests, and near losses, but it had led us to this moment of clarity, peace, and belonging. I leaned my head on Taye's shoulder, the city sprawling endlessly around us. The wind carried the scent of the lagoon and the distant music of a festival, blending past and present, reality and the magic of folktales. In that quiet, perfect moment, I understood the truth my grandmother had always known. The heart may wander, it may suffer, but it will always find its home when it is ready. And with Tay by my side, I knew we were ready.